You unlock this door with the key of imagination. Beyond it is another dimension, a dimension of sound, a dimension of sight, a dimension of mind. You're moving into a land of both shadow and substance, of things and ideas. You've just crossed over into the Twilight Zone.
The date is Tuesday, September 11th, 1864. We are encamped outside Atlanta, and the destruction goes on. I know not what history will make of this conflagration, but I have witnessed it at close range. I feel it my duty to set down these observations before the prism of time colors them in a different light. As to the present battle, then my words may seem harsh, but I assure you, this is how it was. We charged the enemy's works and carried them with the bayonet. The earth ran red. The air was filled with the screams of the wounded and dying. But we were many, and they were few. And so we triumphed. Nonetheless, and despite urgings to the contrary, the battle raged on. The city was ours. There was no need to destroy save that which could be of use in the fight against us, but Sherman was drunk with victory. He himself started the fires, the flames which annihilated that great citadel of grace and beauty. One of us should have sent a ball into Sherman's brain. It would have been so easy. But somehow we couldn't, and that devil knew it. He knew it, and he mocked us for our cowardice. The good die young, I've heard him remark. If you're evil enough, you'll live forever. And with that, the entry from Major Skelton's diary ends. So it was that the Union soldiers burned Atlanta. Questions?
Professor Jameson?
Yes.
The books I've read don't describe the Battle of Atlanta that way.
Oh, I know. Confusing, isn't it? But as someone once said, history is bunk. Who was it now? I should know that.
Henry Ford.
Yes, of course. That's it. Mr. Ford. Thank you, Professor Kittredge. Helps when a Nobel Prize winner sits in on your class. You should drop by more often, Sam.
You seem to do quite well without me.
I could always use a good teaching assistant. So, to sum up today's lecture, the Union soldiers did indeed burn Atlanta for no good reason after the battle was won. You may have seen a more pictorial version in the motion picture Gone with the Wind, but I assure you, the conquering troops took no pleasure in their work. They were forced to it by a man they hated more than they could ever hate the rebels. An ugly, sullen, appallingly brutal general named William Tecumseh Sherman. The history books have glorified this monster, attributing to him qualities of courage and integrity. Trust me, he had no such qualities. He was just a small, evil man with tiny red eyes and a dirty beard and a way of talking that made you quietly want to slit his throat.
What a great lecture.
I really like this class.
Professor Jameson makes it so real.
I forgot to take notes.
Oh, you can borrow mine.
When's the test?
I don't know.
I think it's next Tuesday.
It has been said that universities are worlds unto themselves, inhabited by the young. These are the inhabitants of Collins University, a very small world indeed, young people hungering for knowledge, which can be imparted only by age. You have just met Walter Jameson, for 12 years the college's most popular and respected history professor. Students crowd his lecture hall and listen in fascination as he brings the dead past to life for them. It doesn't seem to matter what period of history he's discussing. He makes that period as real as this morning's headlines. Some explain this ability simply as the mark of a consummate actor. However, there are those who don't agree, like Professor Samuel Kittredge, Nobel Prize winner in chemistry, who has another, more disturbing theory about Walter Jameson, and that theory is about to be put to the test. Very soon we will find out whether our star professor received his degree from a major university or from the Twilight Zone.
And now, The Twilight Zone and our story, Long Live Walter Jameson, starring Lou Diamond Phillips, with Stacy Keach as your narrator.
Very vivid, Walter. You had me on the edge of my chair.
Thank you, Sam. Coming from you, that means a great deal.
Now I see why these lectures of yours are so popular.
Is that why you sat in today?
Partially. Tell me something, if you have a moment.
Certainly.
Who was this Major Skelton?
Oh, no one important. Just a lawyer who happened to enlist.
And you acquired his diary?
Yeah, lucky break. As I recall, an auction of Civil War memorabilia a few years back.
What regiment?
123rd Illinois Infantry.
Remarkable. American history is a hobby of mine, but I must say I've never heard of him.
His diary's never been published.
A fascinating document. May I see it?
Surely.
Well preserved.
It was stored in someone's attic for 100 years. I don't think it had ever been read. You come across objects like this once in a while, put away in boxes. They didn't know what they had.
You could resell it for a nice price, I imagine.
Original source materials are hard to come by.
Don't suppose I could borrow it?
I never lend books to absent-minded professors. Remember the last time?
Yes. I guess you're right.
Time for some coffee?
What?
I'm going past the student union on the way to my office.
Not today. I have a paper to work on for the conference. Oh, I almost forgot. Can you come by for dinner?
Whose invitation? Yours or Susanna's?
Mine, this time.
Something on your mind?
Nothing special, just your company. We have a chess game to finish, if I'm not mistaken. Say 7 o'clock?
All right, 7 it is.
Good. See you then.
Hello?
There you are.
Where else? I keep regular office hours.
I know. A chance to counsel all those co-eds. Oh, please, Mr. Jameson. I just have to talk to you. It's about my term paper.
It's Professor Jameson to you, young lady.
Excuse me, Professor.
I might have an hour this afternoon.
Then we'll have to work fast. You see, I have a bad case of writer's block. I need someone to, well, loosen me up.
You don't need me. You need a cold shower and a massage.
Speak for yourself. Daddy told me he invited you for dinner.
He did. You mind?
Not if you don't mind my getting some work done afterwards. My thesis is due in 10 days.
How's it coming?
Oh, it's coming. I'm just not sure I've said enough.
Want me to look at it?
Absolutely not. I have to know that I can do it on my own without help from you or Daddy.
You will. Don't worry about it.
I miss you.
Me too.
Only a few more days. Then we can spend more time together.
We'll paint the town red. Oh, there's my 2 o'clock. I gotta go.
Let me guess. Female, age 19, about 5'2", with eyes for her handsome professor.
Be right there. Actually, this one's a little old lady. Wants to finish her degree before she kicks the bucket.
I'll bet. See you in a few hours, darling.
It's a date.
Oh, there you are.
Come in, Janice.
I was afraid I was late. Someone else is waiting for you.
You're my only appointment this afternoon.
She asked if this was your office.
A student?
No, I don't think so. She's sort of elderly. She acted like she knew you.
Hello? Hello?
She'll probably come back.
Oh, I'm sure you're right. Now then, Janice, how can I help you?
I'm sorry to bother you, Professor, but I'm having trouble with the assignment.
Can't find all the books? The research library isn't supposed to check out certain materials, but sometimes...
It's not that. I've got everything I need, but the authors on the list, they don't agree with your version. So my question is, which version should I use, yours or theirs?
Remember what Ford said.
What?
Never mind. Start with the basic events. Everyone's in agreement there. As to interpretation, that's up to you. Just tell me what you think happened and why, based on all the accounts. Original thought is what counts.
But how can I be sure if I wasn't there?
That's always the problem, isn't it? There's an old adage. Those who were there know more than those who weren't. The problem is getting people to believe you. Nonetheless, you know what you know, so you learn to keep some things to yourself. But that doesn't affect you, Janice. We deal with truth in my class. Nothing but the truth, for better or worse. They say it can set you free.
I'll get it, Father.
Hello there, miss. I've got a great deal on a set of encyclopedias.
Sorry, we don't want any.
Just let me get my foot in the door.
Oh, really? You know what's wrong with you, Professor?
What?
You're always on time. Sort of takes the mystery out of things.
Oh, so I'm not mysterious enough for you.
That's just it. You're too mysterious. Except when it comes to keeping dates. Get in here. Mwah.
What's that for?
Because, like my new dress?
Awful. Get rid of it right away.
You mean here and now?
Watch it. You're a PhD, not some sorority girl.
And not yet, I'm not. There's a little matter of a thesis, remember?
A mere technicality. Anyway, it doesn't matter. You're about to give it all up and become a housewife.
The devil she is.
Hello, Sam. I didn't see you there.
I'm giving you my daughter's hand, not her brain.
Which I inherited from you.
She'll get that PhD if I have to...
A spanker. I know.
Well, I like that.
Spare the rod and spoil the child.
Pour yourself a drink, Walter. Dinner's almost ready.
Don't tell me you're the cook again tonight.
Indeed. And why not?
Don't you think it's about time Susanna learned for herself?
He won't let me.
Force of habit, after her mother died. Let's go into the dining room, shall we?
I'll serve.
You sure there's not something on your mind, Sam?
Nothing that a good meal won't cure. Had enough to eat?
I take it all back, Sam. She'll never be the cook you are.
I wouldn't even try.
Well, you could try. Who knows? Maybe you've inherited your father's talents.
What do you think you're doing in here?
I'll do the dishes later, unless this is the men's hour. Cigars and brandy and all that.
Not a cigar, a pipe.
It's not the dishes I'm worried about. It's a little matter of a doctoral thesis. Upstairs with you. Walter and I have some talking to do.
I don't believe this. It is the gentleman's club, right here in my own house.
Just for a while, Susie. Then you can have Walter to yourself.
You're not going to treat me this way, are you?
Worse, you might have to support me.
Then the wedding's off. Good night, Daddy. See you before you go?
It's a requirement.
Brandy?
By all means. You know, you don't have to worry about her. She'll accomplish anything she sets her mind to, with or without us.
Oh, I know that. But she's wasted a lot of time. She's almost 30, and I'm almost 70.
You're talking about chronological age. You're both still very young.
I don't feel young lately. Aches and pains. Let's sit down. The chessboard is exactly as we left it.
My move, isn't it?
Do your worst.
How about pawn to king's bishop 4?
Look at that.
You don't like it?
Not the move. Your hands.
Well, what about them?
Extraordinary, isn't it? They looked very much the same when we met, those two hands. Firm, smooth, not the slightest discoloration.
Time marches on.
For some of us. Walter, tell me something.
Of course.
How old are you?
You know the answer. 44.
My move. I seem to recall that when you applied for a position at the university, you listed your age as 39. That was, 12 years ago, which would make you 51 now.
Come on, Sam. So I'm 51. Too old for Susanna, is that it?
In a sense.
What are you getting at?
This is between the two of us. It won't go beyond this room.
Really, Sam?
Walter, when I met you, I was 58. I had most of my hair, all of my teeth, and hardly a wrinkle. Look at me now. In 12 short years, I've turned into an old man. But you haven't.
It happens that way sometimes.
I know. But why?
Clean living? Don't ask me, Sam. You're the chemist. I'm just a history teacher.
Yes, and you teach it very well. Do you know what your students say? They say it's almost as if you witnessed history firsthand.
I try to make it interesting.
Fake it, you mean?
You could call it that.
Yes, that's what I thought. But somehow it didn't seem like you. You're such an honest, precise man. Ah, here it is.
What have you got there?
A book, a first edition. Photographs, mostly. Taken by a fellow named Matthew Brady during the time of the Civil War.
Well, what is it? You look as if you'd seen a ghost.
Perhaps I have. Hand me that magnifying glass, will you?
I don't see...
Was your grandfather in the war by any chance?
No.
In that case, I'd say we have something of a mystery on our hands.
How so?
You got me interested in your Major Skelton today.
Oh, that.
I was curious to see what he looked like. So I went through the Brady pictures, not really expecting to find anything. Here, this is a shot of Sherman and 3 staff officers.
Yes, typical of Brady's work. Moody, grim, not a smile between them.
Look closely. The one with a pistol in his belt is identified as Major Hugh Skelton. This photograph was taken in the 19th century, and yet it looks exactly like you. I'd know those eyes anywhere. In fact, Walter, I'd have to say, it is you. It is you, Walter, isn't it?
Photographs can be deceptive. Poor lighting, grainy images.
You shouldn't have kept the ring, you know. It's a dead giveaway.
Ring? It is a bit like mine.
Not like it. The same.
Sam, really, you can't be saying what I think you're saying. That wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be rational. It wouldn't...
Come now, Walter. We're not children. You know exactly what I'm saying. I've been accused of many things in my time, but never of being inarticulate.
Oh, you're joking. Just because a man in a picture happens to look like me.
And happens to wear the same ring, and happens to have the same small mole on the left side of his face. Did you keep the pistol? Or is it in a Civil War museum somewhere?
Oh, Sam.
Tell me the truth. You know what the truth is, don't you? You are the man in the photograph, aren't you?
Yes.
I knew it. I've suspected for a long time. But, of course, it seemed so fantastic.
It is.
Yes. So, now we're on equal footing at last. The time for lies is over, Walter. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
So tell me, how old are you?
You won't believe me.
I can believe anything now.
This bust on your mantelpiece?
What about it?
It's after a Greek statue, as I recall. The head of Cato the Elder.
That's right.
Let's just say, I'm old enough to have known this gentleman personally.
But he lived more than 2,000 years ago.
I said you wouldn't believe it.
No, it isn't that, but 2,000 years? How, Walter, how?
You don't know what you're asking.
In heaven's name, this is what mankind has been dreaming of.
Sam.
To live forever. To go on learning and understanding eternally, without end, without death.
Sam.
Tell me the secret.
I can't.
You must. You owe it to the world.
I owe the world nothing but contempt and pity.
Then tell me, any part of it. I'm almost 70 years old. I have a heart condition. I'm going to die, but I don't want to until I finish my life's work. Walter, listen to me. Do you understand? I'm not ready to die.
I can't tell you the secret because I don't know what it is myself.
What?
I was like you, Sam. Afraid of death. Too afraid to face the concept head on. When I thought of all the things there were to know and the pitifully few years man had to know them, I went cold with fear. And with anger, too, at the impossibility of it all. The combination was paralyzing. Every night I dreamed, as you dream, of more time, of immortality. Only if man lived forever, I thought, could there be any point to living at all. I'm thirsty. You have water?
Come in, traveler.
Thank you. You're very kind. One day, on the road, I met a man. An alchemist. I told him these things and more as I rested with him. He said that he could grant my wish. Only it would cost money. A great deal of money. So I sold everything I had and paid him his money and submitted to his experiments.
Drink this, young man. You may remain here until you recover.
I feel strange.
That will pass.
I remember very little of what followed, except that I was in a coma for many weeks. When I revived, I learned that the alchemist had been burned for blasphemy.
You're not serious? An alchemist?
The only legitimate one that I've ever known.
You're asking me to believe something that goes against everything I know.
Not without proof.
But an alchemist? I'm a man of science. They knew nothing of chemistry. Lead into gold.
Just as I thought. You won't believe it.
Smoke and mirrors. Their methods were based on superstition, magic. What did he use? bat's blood and eye of toad.
And once upon a time, germs were unknown, and blood cells, and pasteurization, and human growth hormone, and... Sam, all those things and more would have been called magic once. It's a matter of knowing what to measure and how. Do you realize that most of today's medicines come from plants? Witch doctors discovered a long time ago that they worked, even if they couldn't explain the reason.
Don't lecture me.
All right. But you'll grant that certain phenomena exist before we know why. Science is like history in that respect. A detective story, working backwards from known facts until we understand the cause. And I'm the most undeniable of facts. Unless you can come up with another explanation.
Go on.
There isn't much more to tell, really. I thought the experiment had failed, of course, because I didn't feel any different. But then, when I saw my wife and my children and my friends aging and growing old, this was a problem I hadn't considered, you see.
But surely there's a way to get around that paradox.
Such as?
There must be.
Is there? Think about it. If I tell you that somehow I can stop you from aging, where do you want to be stopped? At 30? Then you watch everyone around you turning old. At 70? Would you want to live forever the way you are now? Sick and weak?
It's better than dying.
No, Sam. You're wrong. I was wrong. It's death that gives this world its point. We love a rose because we know it will soon be gone. Who ever loved a stone?
I'm not a rose, and I'm not a stone. I'm a man. Very old, very frightened.
Of what? Death?
Yes, of death.
You're a fool. I want to die.
Then why don't you?
Because I'm a coward. Like all men. Because I'm tired of living and scared of dying. That's why. There's a revolver in my desk at home, Sam. The same one you saw in the Civil War photograph. Every night, I hold it in my hand and pray for the courage to pull the trigger. But I can't.
You mean to say you've survived all these years without an accident, without being injured or wounded?
Some people are lucky that way. They go through life without ever breaking a bone or seeing the inside of a hospital. Oh, I've come close to death plenty of times. But never close enough.
Thank you.
For what?
For reassuring me. I thought that if a man lived forever, he would grow wiser. But that isn't true, is it?
You grow tired. That's all.
It must be lonely.
That's a word that comes to mind.
You say it as if you think it's a word I don't know anything about. I suppose you married more than once?
Yes.
How long with each woman, Walter? 10 years? 15?
I take your point.
Now you know why I attended your lecture. Why I asked you here tonight. It wasn't idle curiosity.
I suspected as much. Sam, this isn't a situation of my choosing, not any longer. I tried to resign 6 months ago, but you talked me out of it. Do you remember?
Yes.
Do you know why? I knew that Susanna was falling in love with me. And I knew what would happen, because it had happened before. A few years of happiness, and then... I warned her. I did everything I could to discourage her.
Except tell her the truth.
How could I do that? She'd have thought I was mad.
Then why didn't you leave?
Because it was too late. I was in love with her. Everything was against it, all my reason and experience. But that didn't matter. And God help me, it doesn't matter now.
It does to me. Walter, I can't let you marry my daughter.
And why not?
Susie.
Well, go ahead. I asked a question, Father.
We were just having a conversation.
So I gather.
How long were you standing at the top of the stairs?
Long enough to hear that there's some sort of disagreement over me. Don't you think it would have been considerate to include me in the negotiation?
It's not a negotiation.
Please don't misunderstand.
Your father seems to think I'm too old for you, darling.
Susanna, let me explain.
That's the silliest thing I've ever heard.
Good. In that case, you will marry me?
I thought that's already been decided. You asked, and I accepted. Unless you're having second thoughts.
Nonsense. If I had my way, we'd do it tonight.
Are you serious?
I've never been more serious in my life.
I think you mean it.
There's a justice of the peace in the next county. Go upstairs and get your prettiest dress. I'll go back to my place and pick you up in an hour.
But...
Go. Go.
Daddy?
I can't very well ground you, can I? You're of legal age.
Oh, Walter, I do love you. Though your timing is a bit of a surprise.
Life is a surprise. If we're not ready now, when will we be? Next week? Next year? We have to seize happiness when it comes, and it's here now.
1 hour, darling.
I'll tell her.
She won't believe you, Sam. No one would. In fact, by tomorrow, you won't believe it yourself.
We'll see.
Yes, we will. Yes?
I'll give you one last chance, Walter, if that's your name.
Sam, please.
The irony is, I truly like you. We've been fine friends. But when it comes to my daughter...
You deny her happiness?
Is that what you call it? People who love each other don't have secrets. They share their lives. They grow old together. Susanna's entitled to the same thing. Not a mockery of it.
You don't think this is easy for me.
There's nothing ahead for her but a broken heart, as she sees herself age while you don't. How long do you think you can keep it from her?
And if I go away, will that make her happy?
She'll suffer, but she'll get over it. You don't belong here, any more than that antique pistol in the photograph.
It's still here, in my desk drawer. And so am I. That's reality, Sam. For better or worse.
She's upstairs now, packing. If you come back, I'll expose you. Not just to her, but to the university and the world. Starting tonight.
You mean it, don't you?
You don't leave me much choice.
Give me a few minutes. I need to think it through.
Good. If you love her, you know what to do.
Yes, I know what to do. Only, I don't know if I have the courage.
Hello, Tommy.
Who are...
You needn't stand up.
How did you get in?
You left the front door open.
Who are you?
Don't you recognize me, Tommy?
No, I don't think I...
Look hard into my eyes. You called them the most beautiful you'd ever seen once. A long time ago.
I think you've made a mistake.
No. It's you, Tommy.
My name is Jameson. Professor Jameson. And if you don't leave my house at once, I'll be forced to call campus security.
Don't pretend with me. I know who you are.
And who is that?
Tom Bowen.
Tom?
My husband.
That's impossible. I've never been married.
You mean you don't remember? How convenient for you. We married right after the Great Depression. We lost our farm to the drought. Crops died and blew away like dust. And you, still a strong, vital man. So we packed up the car and moved west. The living would be better now, you said. And it was. For a while. We had a little girl. Did you know she passed away last year, Tommy? A grown woman herself, getting on in years. It's not right to outlive your children. But me, I had to keep going. It was like I'd been waiting all these years, waiting to know where you went when you ran off. And now, I found you.
My dear lady, perhaps if you told me who you're looking for, I could...
Oh, stop. Please, stop. I saw your picture in the paper. I knew it was you by those eyes. And the ring. You always wore it. So I had to see if it was true. It is. No, Lord, look at that. I can't explain it. I only know what I see. I've grown old, and you haven't.
Don't. Please.
And now you're going to marry someone else and leave her the way you left me.
Lorette, for God's sake.
I can't let you marry her, Tommy. You're mine.
Don't touch me.
What's this?
Put the pistol down.
Oh, I remember that gun. You used to keep it locked away. Said it belonged to your great-grandfather. Take it out and oil it like you knew you were going to use it someday. Is it still loaded?
I said put it down.
Tommy, what you're doing, it's wrong. You can't go on hurting people the way you hurt me. I won't let you.
Lorette, for the love of...
What was that?
I didn't hear anything.
Are you sure? I thought...
Thought what?
I don't know.
Susanna, dear, please wait.
Don't try to stop me. I've made up my mind.
I know.
It's not like I'm going away. Walter and I will be married, and then we'll come back and I'll move my things into his house. It's only down the block. I'll still see you every day and...
Shh. I did have some things to say to you. Very important things. But now, I don't know where to start.
Please don't. I'm nervous enough as it is. Can't you be happy for me? I know it's a change, a big change, but surely you're not surprised. You must have seen it coming. I know we haven't talked much about it, but...
Do one thing for me, sweetheart.
What?
Bring me my reading glasses. I shan't be able to sleep while you're off eloping. At least I can get some reading done.
Oh, Daddy, thank you. Where did you leave them?
Upstairs in my bedroom, as I recall. Would you mind getting them for me?
Of course I will. If Walter comes to the door, tell him...
I know what to tell him. Don't expect him just yet. There's still time.
Wait right here. I'll find them.
Oh,
Excuse me, I didn't see you there.
I saw my Tommy. He's resting now.
Good evening to you, madam. Walter. Walter, where the devil are you?
Hello, Sam.
Why are all the lights off?
I was just, thinking.
The window's open.
I know.
I'll close it.
No.
What's the matter?
It's a strange feeling after all this time.
What do you mean?
I mean, I've come to my senses. Tell Susanna. Tell her if you would.
You're hurt. Turn on the light.
Stay away.
I'll call a doctor.
No.
But your hand, there's blood on it.
Hard to avoid that when you've been shot. It's dripping all over everything. I'm leaking, Sam. Everything has been held inside for so long. It's running out. I feel light as a feather.
Take my arm. Sit down. Quickly.
A little late for that. I'm sinking, Sam. Right into the rug. It'll be quite a mess to clean up.
What's happening to you?
It's happening. At last.
Your hair. Your skin.
Sorry to fall apart on you. Oh. But nothing lasts forever. Thank God, Sam. Thank God in His wisdom.
Oh, Walter. Walter.
Tell her.
I'll try to think of something.
Don't let her see me like.
Dad? Walter?
No, Susanna. Stay back.
Daddy!
Go home.
Where's Walter?
Susanna, please, go home, now.
Walter?
He's gone.
Gone where?
I wish I could tell you.
But there are his clothes, his shoes. Daddy! Daddy, what else is on the floor?
Dust, my dear. Only dust.
Professor Walter Jameson, an expert in the subject of times long past, and above all, a consummate actor, since before this university was founded. He's finally completed his life's work, a history of the world that begins in the cradle of civilization and ends in our time, because the future was not his specialty. In fact, the simple truth is he had no future left. The past has a way of catching up with us, sometimes when we least expect it. They say that time heals all wounds, but it also wounds all heals. Rest in peace, Professor. You've just passed the ultimate final examination in the Twilight Zone.
More from the Twilight Zone after this.
You are about to enter another dimension, a dimension not only of sight and sound, but of mind, a journey into a wondrous land of imagination. Next stop, the Twilight Zone. Hi, this is Stacy Keach. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about our Twilight Zone website at twilightzoneradio.com. At twilightzoneradio.com, you'll find the latest information on these Twilight Zone radio dramas, including behind-the-scenes photographs, plus the newest product releases, trivia contests, ways to contact us, other Twilight Zone-related info and merchandise, plus links to other fascinating websites. So make your next stop TwilightZoneRadio.com.
Visit TwilightZoneRadio.com to purchase these Twilight Zone radio dramas on cassette and CD, or call toll-free 1-866-989-ZONE. That's 1-866-989-9663.
Long Live Walter Jameson, starring Lou Diamond Phillips with Stacy Keach as your narrator, was adapted for radio by Dennis Etchison and written for The Twilight Zone by Charles Beaumont. Heard in the cast were David Darlow, Alyssa Fraden, Elizabeth Leto, Ann Whitney, Jeff Lupetin, and Christian Stolte. To learn more about the Twilight Zone radio dramas and to obtain audio cassettes and CDs of these programs, visit our website at twilightzoneradio.com. The producers of The Twilight Zone wish to thank CBS Enterprises, Carol Serling, Dennis Etchison, Dick Brescia Associates, Claire Simon Casting, Terry Jennings, XM Satellite Radio, Sirius Satellite Radio, our sponsors and our radio affiliates for helping make this series possible. This copyrighted radio series is produced and directed by Carl Amari for Falcon Picture Group. Audio editing, sound design, Foley effects, and mix for the Twilight Zone radio dramas are by Cerny American creatives Craig Lee, Michael Slaybach, Bob Benson, and Jason Rizzo. To learn more about the Twilight Zone radio dramas and to contact us, visit our official website at twilightzoneradio.com. Doug James speaking.